Welcome to this deep dive. We are going to explore something really, really cool, Hermetic philosophy. Specifically, we're going to look at it through the Kybalion.
Okay.
It's, think ancient Egyptian wisdom, shrouded in mystery, and the kind of knowledge that might just shift how you view the world. We've got excerpts straight from the book itself,
Yeah.
the Kybalion,
Right.
plus some commentary to help unpack it all.
What's really captivating about the Kybalion is it's like this bridge between like ancient wisdom and modern thought. It's a compilation of these basic Hermetic doctrines, supposedly passed down for centuries, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus.
Hermes Trismegistus, the scribe of the gods. I can already sense the mystery. What I find interesting is how much of Hermetic philosophy hinges on this tradition of oral transmission
Right.
and veiled language.
Yeah, that's actually a common thread in a lot of esoteric traditions. Using symbols and allegory to sort of safeguard the teachings. It was a way to make sure that knowledge was only revealed to those who were ready to receive it and apply it responsibly.
So it's like a secret code waiting to be deciphered.
Yeah.
And at the heart of the Kybalion are the 7 Hermetic principles.
Right.
These principles are like universal laws that Hermeticists believe govern reality. We're talking mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender.
Yeah, these principles are meant to be a framework for understanding the universe,
Okay.
a master key, as the Kybalion puts it, to unlock the secrets of the cosmos.
That's a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
So let's break it down, starting with mentalism. This principle states
Yeah.
that the all is mind, essentially saying that the universe is a mental creation.
Right.
It reminds me of the idea that thoughts create reality, which is something you hear a lot about these days. What are your thoughts on that connection?
It's such a profound idea. Mentalism suggests that everything we experience as reality is a projection of a universal mind. And if you think about it, our individual minds, our thoughts, emotions, beliefs,
Right.
they all contribute to this collective creation.
So we're not just passive observers. We are active participants in shaping reality. That's a pretty empowering concept, but
Right.
it also raises some questions. Like, for example, if we're all part of this mental universe, what does that mean for things like free will
Yeah.
or destiny?
That's a question philosophers have been grappling with for centuries.
Yeah.
Hermetic philosophy doesn't really give a definitive answer, but it does offer a perspective. It suggests that while there are these universal laws at play, we also have the power to choose how we respond to those laws, how we shape our own experiences within that framework.
So it's a delicate dance between fate and free will. And perhaps understanding these Hermetic principles can give us a better sense of the steps.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the next principle, correspondence.
Okay.
This one is often summarized as above, so below.
Right.
It seems to suggest that there's a mirroring effect between our inner world and the outer world.
Think of it like a fractal pattern, where the same basic structure repeats itself on different scales. Correspondence implies that what happens within us is reflected in our external reality. It also works the other way around. Events in the outer world can trigger internal shifts.
Oh, okay.
Like if you're feeling stuck or frustrated, it might be a reflection of something going on internally that needs to be addressed.
So it's like those ripple effects you see in a pond.
Yeah.
Our inner world creates ripples that extend outward, and events in the outer world create ripples that impact our inner world.
Exactly.
It makes me wonder about the implications for personal growth.
Yeah.
Like if we want to change something in our outer reality, maybe we need to start by shifting something within ourselves first.
That's the key takeaway from the principle of correspondence.
Okay.
It encourages us to take responsibility for our inner world,
Right.
knowing that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions have a tangible impact on our experiences.
It's a call to self-awareness in inner work.
Absolutely.
Now, the next principle, vibration. This one brings energy into the equation. This principle states that everything in the universe is in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies. This makes me think of those scientific visualizations of atoms and molecules always buzzing with energy.
It's such a fascinating way to look at the universe. Vibration suggests that everything from the densest matter to the subtlest thoughts is in a constant state of motion.
Okay.
And the rate at which something vibrates determines its form and its properties.
So a rock vibrates at a slower frequency than, say, light
Right.
or sound, which explains why it appears solid and immobile to our senses.
Exactly.
But if we could somehow shift the vibrational frequency of that rock, it could potentially transform into something entirely different.
That's the really intriguing implication of vibration.
Yeah.
It suggests that change and transformation are possible on all levels of reality.
Right.
And if we can learn to control our own vibrational frequency, we might be able to influence our experiences in ways that we're only beginning to understand.
Now we're venturing into the realm of possibilities. And speaking of transformations, the next principle, polarity,
Okay.
suggests that everything has its opposite.
Right.
Light and dark, hot and cold, love and fear. These are all examples of polarities.
Right.
But the Kybalion takes it a step further, suggesting that these opposites aren't actually separate entities,
Right.
but rather two extremes of the same thing. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a mind-bending concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Polarity challenges our tendency to see things in black and white, good versus bad, right versus wrong. Instead, it suggests that everything exists on a spectrum with varying degrees between the two poles.
Okay.
Like, love and fear might seem like completely opposite emotions, but they both arise from our desire for connection and belonging.
So instead of trying to eliminate fear entirely,
Yeah.
maybe it's about understanding it as part of a spectrum, a force that can be transformed into something more constructive, like courage or compassion. Is that what the Kybalion is getting at?
Yeah, that's one way to interpret it. Polarity suggests that we have the power to transmute negative emotions into positive ones by consciously shifting our focus and intention.
Oh.
It's about recognizing that the power to change our experience lies within us.
This idea of mental transmutation turning fear into courage, for example, that
Yeah.
sounds a lot like the modern concept of positive affirmations.
Right.
Are there any other connections you see between these Hermetic principles and contemporary personal growth practices?
Absolutely. Many modern practices like visualization, mindfulness, and even certain forms of therapy, they all align with these Hermetic principles.
Okay.
They all tap into the idea that we can change our inner world in order to change our outer experience.
It's fascinating how these ancient teachings are being rediscovered and reinterpreted in modern times.
Right.
It's like we're coming full circle, recognizing the wisdom that has been passed down through the ages.
It really is, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Kybalion continues to resonate with people today. It offers this timeless perspective on the human condition and our potential for growth and transformation.
Okay, so far we've covered mentalism, correspondence, vibration, and polarity.
Right.
Each one sort of building upon the previous, creating a more nuanced understanding of how the universe operates.
Right.
But we've still got 3 more principles to explore.
We do.
I'm eager to hear what the Kybalion has to say about rhythm, cause and effect, and gender.
They offer really valuable insights
Okay.
into the nature of reality and our place within it.
I'm ready to uncover more of those insights.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so we've been talking about these Hermetic principles almost like a map for understanding the universe.
Yeah.
Now, let's add another layer to that map with the principle of rhythm. This one emphasizes the cyclical nature of life, the ebb and flow, the ups and downs. And it makes me think of like the seasons changing, or
Right.
even the way our energy levels fluctuate throughout the day.
Yeah, rhythm reminds us that everything is in constant motion, but that motion isn't always linear, it's cyclical, with periods of expansion and contraction, growth and rest.
So instead of resisting those natural cycles, maybe the key is to learn how to work with them,
Yeah,
to ride the waves instead of fighting against the current.
exactly. That's the wisdom behind rhythm. It's about understanding that change is inevitable. And by recognizing the cyclical nature of life, we can kind of navigate those changes more gracefully.
It makes me think of that saying, what goes up must come down. It applies to everything, doesn't it?
It does.
From our moods and energy levels to financial markets and global trends.
It's a universal principle, and understanding that can help us to avoid getting too attached to the highs or too discouraged by the lows. Knowing that everything is in flux, that the pendulum always swings back, can give us a sense of perspective and equanimity.
It's a reminder that we don't have to be constantly striving for the peak, that there's value in the valleys too. There's a time for action and a time for rest, a time for growth and a time for integration.
And by aligning ourselves with those natural rhythms, we can tack into a more effortless flow, a sense of being in sync with the universe.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the principle of cause and effect, which seems pretty straightforward on the surface.
Right.
Every action has a consequence, right?
Right.
But I have a feeling the Kybalion goes a bit deeper than that.
It does. Cause and effect reminds us that nothing happens randomly. Everything is a result of a preceding cause. And every action we take creates this ripple effect that extends outward, impacting the world around us.
It makes you think twice about those seemingly small, everyday choices we make.
Yeah.
Each one is setting something in motion.
Right.
creating a chain of events that we may not always be able to foresee.
That's why Hermetic philosophy emphasizes the importance of conscious decision-making, of considering the potential consequences of our actions.
Right.
But it also reminds us that we're not always aware of all the causes at play.
So sometimes what appears to be bad luck or a random event might actually be the result of causes that we're not yet conscious of.
Right.
It's like there's more going on behind the scenes than we might realize.
Exactly. And as we evolve in consciousness, we might start to perceive those hidden causes, those subtle connections that were previously invisible to us.
Okay.
It's like gaining a deeper understanding of the intricate web of life, seeing how everything is interconnected and how our actions contribute to that tapestry.
Yeah. It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing that we're part of something much larger than ourselves and that our choices, even the seemingly insignificant ones, have an impact on the whole. Now, the final principle, gender, has the potential to be misunderstood, especially in today's world where we're having more nuanced conversations about gender identity. How does the Kybalion approach this principle?
It's crucial to remember that the principle of gender in Hermetic philosophy isn't referring to biological sex or gender roles as we understand them today. It's talking about the interplay of masculine and feminine principles or energies that exist within everything in the universe.
So it's more about a dynamic interplay of forces.
Exactly.
A balancing act between seemingly opposite qualities.
Exactly. Think of it like the yin and yang symbol in Taoist philosophy. The masculine principle is associated with qualities like activity, assertion, and outward expression, while the feminine principle represents receptivity, nurturing, and inward focus.
It's not about one being better than the other, but rather recognizing that both are essential for creation and growth.
Yeah.
And both are present within each of us, regardless of our biological sex or gender identity.
Exactly. And the Kybalion suggests that achieving a state of balance between these principles within ourselves is essential for spiritual wholeness and a harmonious life.
Okay.
It's about integrating those seemingly opposite qualities, recognizing that they complement and enhance each other.
So if someone is overly assertive, perhaps they need to cultivate more receptivity.
Right.
And if someone is constantly seeking external validation, maybe they need to tap into their inner strength and self-reliance.
Yeah.
It's about finding that equilibrium point where both principles are expressed in a healthy and balanced way.
Precisely. And the Kybalion even suggests that by mastering these mental principles of gender, we can tap into a deeper level of creative power.
Oh, I'm intrigued. How so?
Well, remember the principle of mentalism, which states that the all is mind.
Right.
Hermetic philosophy suggests that the universe is a mental creation and that the process of creation involves the interplay of these masculine and feminine principles.
Okay.
By consciously directing our will, the masculine principle, we can stimulate the feminine principle, the creative power of mind, to bring forth new ideas, insights, and even solutions to problems.
So it's like a mental dance between intention and receptivity, action and manifestation.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And this dance, this interplay, isn't just happening within our individual minds. It's happening on a cosmic scale as well.
Wait, so you're saying the universe itself is engaging in this creative dance of masculine and feminine principles?
That's what the Hermetic teachings suggest.
Wow.
It's a pretty mind-blowing concept, isn't it?
Definitely mind-blowing. We've been exploring these 7 Hermetic principles, and I'm already seeing connections to modern psychology, spirituality, and even physics. It's like these ancient teachings are offering a framework for understanding not only the universe, but also ourselves.
And that's one of the reasons why the Kybalion continues to fascinate and inspire people centuries after it was first written.
Yeah.
It speaks to something deep within us, a yearning to understand the mysteries of existence and to unlock our own potential.
It's been a deep dive into these principles. But the Kybalion also talks about something called mental transmutation.
Right.
Curious to hear more about what that is and how it ties into everything else we've been discussing.
Mental transmutation is a key concept in Hermetic philosophy. It's the art and science of changing your mental state, of consciously shifting your vibration, using the power of your mind.
Okay, back to alchemy, but this time it's mental. Remind me how this works.
Think of it as the art of changing your mental state, consciously shifting your vibration. The Kybalion describes it as the practical application of the Hermetic principles.
So less about turning lead into gold, more about turning anxiety into peace? Maybe?
Precisely. And that's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just positive thinking. It's about understanding the underlying principles and using them intentionally.
So if we are surrounded by this mental universe,
Right.
does that mean we have the power to change our reality simply by changing our thoughts.
That's the core idea behind mental transmutation.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the power of our minds to shape our experiences.
That makes those modern self-help practices like affirmations seem a lot less woo-woo and more like ancient wisdom in action.
Exactly. Affirmations, visualization, even certain forms of therapy, they all tap into this idea of working with mental forces to create change.
But the Kybalion takes it a step further, right? It talks about the all as this infinite living mind, and the universe being a mental creation of the all.
Yes, and that leads to a really profound concept. If the universe is indeed a mental creation, then we, as individual minds, are part of that creation.
Um,
And that participation, that connection to the universal mind, gives us a degree of creative power.
so we're not just subject to the whims of fate.
Right.
We are active participants in shaping our reality.
That's the empowering message within Hermetic philosophy. It's not about denying the challenges of life, but rather recognizing our own inherent power to navigate them and to co-create our experiences.
But hold on, isn't there a danger in this line of thinking? Like, if something bad happens, does that mean it's my fault because I somehow attracted it with my thoughts?
That's a valid concern. And it's important to avoid misinterpreting these teachings. Hermetic philosophy doesn't suggest that we're solely responsible for everything that happens to us.
Okay.
Remember, we exist within a complex web of cause and effect.
Right, so free will is operating within a larger system of universal laws and influences.
Exactly. It's more about recognizing our responsibility for our own thoughts, actions, and reactions while also acknowledging the interplay of forces beyond our control.
So it's a balancing act. And speaking of balance, the Kybalion also talks about this divine paradox, the idea that the universe is both real and an illusion.
Right, that paradox arises from the difference between the absolute perspective of the all and our limited relative perspective as human beings.
Okay, explain that a little more. How can something be real and an illusion at the same time?
From the viewpoint of the all, which is pure, undifferentiated consciousness, the universe might appear as a dream, a mental projection.
Okay.
But from our perspective, bound by time and space and our physical senses, the universe is very real.
So it's a lot like those optical illusions where you see one thing, but then you shift your perspective and see something completely different.
That's a good analogy. The Kybalion suggests that holding both of these perspectives, the absolute and the relative, is key to wisdom.
Okay, it's a bit mind-bending, but I think I'm starting to get it. Yes. So where do those other planes of existence fit into all of this?
The planes of correspondence.
Yeah.
Remember, the Hermetic principles operate on all levels of reality. The Kybalion talks about these planes as different levels of vibration, ranging from the densest matter to the purest spirit.
And there are beings existing on these other planes, angels, demigods, even masters, as they're called in the text.
The text mentions these beings as having evolved to a higher level of consciousness, existing on planes beyond our ordinary perception.
So there's potentially a whole lot more going on behind the scenes than we're aware of in our day-to-day lives.
That's the intriguing implication.
Yeah.
And it leads to another interesting point. While these higher beings may have advanced beyond our current level of understanding, they weren't always that way. The text suggests they too started where we are now and evolved over countless lifetimes.
So even those advanced beings were once like us, stumbling around trying to figure things out.
Exactly.
That's actually kind of encouraging.
It's a reminder that we are all on a journey of evolution, and the potential for growth is limitless.
Well, that's a hopeful thought. You know, it's fascinating how the Kybalion presents these principles not just as like abstract concepts,
Right.
but as tools for personal transformation.
Yeah.
We were talking about mental transmutation, and now this idea of inner alchemy kind of adds another layer to that. It's like we're being invited to become alchemists of our own lives, using these principles to refine and transform ourselves.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Hermetic alchemy is about consciously applying these universal principles to our inner world, to our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, recognizing that as we change within, our outer experience also begins to shift.
So it's not about denying those challenging emotions or trying to force ourselves to be positive all the time.
Right.
It's about understanding that those emotions are part of a spectrum, and we have the power to transform them into something more constructive.
Exactly. It's about working with the raw material of our experience, just as an alchemist works with base metals. We can use the principle of polarity to shift our focus from fear to courage, from anger to understanding, from despair to hope. It's a process of purification and refinement.
And as we refine ourselves, as we become more aligned with those higher principles, what kind of changes might we expect to see in our lives? What are the signs that this inner alchemy is actually working?
The Kybalion suggests that as we progress on this path, we'll experience greater peace, harmony, and understanding. We'll become less reactive to external circumstances and more centered in ourselves. Our lives will start to reflect the principles we're embodying.
So if we're attracting more positive experiences, feeling more in sync with the flow of life, maybe that's a sign that our inner alchemy is starting to take effect.
That's a really good indication. And as we continue to refine our inner state, we'll find that we're able to navigate those inevitable challenges of life with more grace and wisdom. We'll start to see those challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to overcome.
It's like we're developing a kind of inner resilience, an ability to bounce back from setbacks and maintain a sense of equilibrium even amidst chaos.
That's the power of Hermetic alchemy. It's about cultivating a state of inner mastery, of aligning ourselves with those universal principles that govern reality. And as we do that, we become more powerful creators in our own lives.
It all comes back to that core principle of mentalism, the idea that the all is mine.
Right.
If we truly believe that, if we embody that understanding, then it makes sense that we would have the power to shape our experience.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our own inherent power, our connection to the source of creation. And that recognition can be so empowering, liberating even.
Yeah, it's like we're stepping into our role as co-creators with the universe, consciously participating in the unfolding of our own destiny. That's a pretty exciting prospect, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it's a journey that's open to everyone. It's not about achieving some kind of superhuman status. It's about recognizing the divine spark that exists within each of us.
I think that's a beautiful message to leave our listeners with. The Kybalion offers a unique and profound perspective on the nature of reality. And whether or not we fully embrace its teachings, it invites us to consider the possibility that we are more powerful than we realize, that our thoughts, our beliefs, and our intentions have a tangible impact on the world around us.
And it encourages us to step into that power consciously, to become deliberate creators of our own experiences,
Right.
to approach life as an alchemical experiment, a journey of self-discovery and transformation.
It's a journey that's both challenging and incredibly rewarding. And if you're willing to do the inner work, to explore these Hermetic principles and apply them to your own life, who knows what kind of magic you might discover.
The possibilities are truly limitless.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Hermetic philosophy. We hope you found it enlightening and inspiring.
And remember, the real deep dive begins when you take these ideas and apply them to your own life, your own unique journey.
Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.